Thank you, everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 29th. We're going to do an update on some items that have been discussed. I'm going to answer some of the questions that were presented in the form. There were two questions I just want to share in case you're on the call now. Two questions that were presented that were very specific for specific parents and specific students. So either I or the assistant principal for that grade level will be reaching out to those parents rather than address them in this general forum. So at this time, I'm going to share my screen just to go back. I do want to let you know Mr. Levine is who's the 12th grade administrator is on the call. Miss Sutton, who is our 10th grade administrator, and Miss Black, who is the administrative secretary, are all on the call from BCC. Just so you know who is on the screen on the call from our side. So I'm going to share my screen now. And we are going to move through this presentation really quickly. If you are on the phone, the same thing as last week will apply. I will read what is on the screen so you're not missing anything. This just allows me to have some talking points here and also an opportunity for me to post and have this information online. And the purpose of doing the form for people to submit questions was in order to allow opportunity for those who are calling in to get their questions answered also. And the same form and the same meeting link will be used for all the meetings that we're doing throughout the closure. So the first thing that I just want to do is just a reminder that we're recording the meeting. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Today, I'm going to talk about an update on the Chromebook distribution. I'm going to talk a bit about AP exams. I'm going to talk about what extended time looks like. I'm going to show a short video that actually one of our teachers created that will be on how to access that myMCPS calendar function. If you joined one of the meetings last week, we talked a bit about that, and I got a demonstration of that from one of our teachers on Monday, and then she created a quick video for us to watch together to see how to do that. It's actually pretty simple. I'm going to give you what I know right now on marking period 4 grading, which is a consistent question that I'm getting, and then share several of those submitted questions from earlier and provide the answers, or at least the perspective that I have on that now. There is a question that just appeared in the chat. The Wednesday and Thursday meetings, all of the meetings for this week will be generally the same. The only caveat I might have is that if for some reason I find out information today that changes something that I put out in, that I have on this one that I need to change for tomorrow, I won't give incorrect information for that, for tomorrow's meeting just because it was what I shared today. So just know that general the general information will be the same. I also will update with any questions that I get between now and then. So this is an important change since last week. Last week I shared that Chromebook and Wi-Fi hotspot distribution was being handled now by MCPS centrally. We actually got an email communication yesterday indicating that all schools would now be handling distribution for our students, including information about students who had requested Chromebooks or hotspots and had not yet picked them up from MCPS. We're still working through a lot of that data, and we will have our plan fully developed with what that's going to look like and when Chromebooks will be available at BCC and how you contact us. I'll send out a video update with details on that once we have all of that worked out from BCC. We were just given that yesterday, and we're still trying to work through exactly how we're going to handle it, maintaining everyone's safety and making sure that we are also getting the devices into people's hands that need them. So I'll send out a video update on that. My goal is by Friday morning to have that out. The earliest next distribution would be sometime next week. The same thing I said last week, though, is if you or someone you know needs access, or there's an issue, or if they have a broken Chromebook or anything like that, please email either me or your child's grade level administrator. We are collecting the names and information, and then we will be responsible for letting them know what they need to do and when we'll be available. So that's an important change from last week. We're going to be taking this back on at BCC or through our administrative team there. So, but make sure you're reaching out to us. Another important thing that we learned that was sent out today to us was to make sure that all parents and students know the technical support number. So if you have a Chromebook or if you have Wi-Fi, or even if you're having trouble accessing either myMCPS Classroom or Google Classroom, or need to reset anything, some of those pieces we can take care of electronically at the school level, but there is a number that MCPS has set up, and that's posted there on the screen. It's 240-740-7022. That's available for technical support for parents and students as we're in distance learning now. So that's something that's live and going right now. I know that I've actually had some parents already share with me that they reached out to them today after I sent that email, that phone number over to them. So that is available now. AP exams. So important thing about AP exams. So students should have received an email from College Board about their exams. That's important to know. That happened last week. I think I shared in several of the meetings last week anyway. My daughter, who's in 11th grade, she got the email. This is when you're taking your exam. This is when it's scheduled. These are the ones that you're signed up for. Parents have also received information from BCC and an email that shared kind of about that. But also I actually received this morning from College Board, and I hope all of you are receiving them too, some more specific information about my daughter's AP exams. So hopefully you're all getting those. One of the things that's really important is that MCPS and College Board both gave some time for students to opt out now from taking that exam. But it's important that if you're choosing not to take that exam, that you do not click on that exam to open it. Once that exam is opened, it is considered a taken quote unquote exam. So don't click on the exam link unless you plan to test. If you're registered, even if you haven't paid and you've indicated that you're not going to, you will still get the link at this point. So do not click on that link unless you plan to test and you're absolutely sure that you're going to do that. Another question that we've had and that we wanted to just address from an administrative side of things. So there's the idea of an extended time, which is an accommodation that a lot of special education 504 and ESOL students at BCC and throughout the county have, and that's to allow them the opportunity to complete the work in a way that meets their needs. Extended time is clearly defined for every student, and it's usually a 50% extended time. So, you know, in simple numbers, if a task was designed to take an hour, a student with 50% extended time would have an hour and a half to do that, and it applies to each individual task. So we've talked a lot about this administratively. We've looked for guidance from MCPS's Office of Special Education. It's our understanding at this time that extended time is being built into the date range to complete the assignments and doesn't necessarily extend that completion window. So what that means is if, let's say in a science class, there were 3 tasks assigned for this week, those 3 tasks wouldn't take an entire week to do. They might take 2 or 3, 30-minute time chunks or 45-minute time chunks. So the student could already build in that extended time to complete those. It wouldn't mean that instead of having the entire week to complete those assignments, they would then have a week and a half to complete those assignments. So that's what we're working with right now in terms of that. I'll go back to the other piece I said in terms of special education, 504 plans and ESOL students. We do want to make sure that if there are any questions you have about that as a parent, you're reaching out to that case manager, to the counselor, or to the ESOL teacher to make sure that you're getting those questions addressed and making sure that. We are going to ask our teachers to be clear about how extended time is built into that, but that's something that'll be a work in progress. But that's important to know here. I already went over that, but so the example is a student with 50% extended time is given an assignment that should take approximately 1 hour to complete. And that means that the student should be reasonably expected to take an hour and a half to complete the assignment, that time is built into the week's structure. So the next piece I want to talk about is really the calendar function for myMCPS Classroom. It's important to know that each student has to turn that calendar function on. Ms. Freed, who is one of our math teachers, actually created an instructional video. And I am going to play that video now, and I'm sure going to hope it works. It worked every time. I tried it this morning, so if it doesn't, I will ask someone to let me know in the chat if you're not seeing the video. So we're going to watch this video together.
We're not able to hear her.
So my apologies. I hope that you all can hear me. I am working through this technical difficulty. I have turned the captions on for the video, and now I'm starting it over. If you are on the phone, I apologize for that. I don't know how to make the audio go through on Zoom, but it will be posted on when this link is posted later. So I apologize for that, but I'm going to replay now, starting with the captions on. I apologize.
There's also another way to have your main page viewed so that you can see when the assignments are due. So if you click at the very top where it says dashboard and these three little dots, you can click list view. Okay, the list view provides you with a calendar view of assignments and when they are due. So nothing is due today, nothing is due tomorrow. However, the student can see that they have 2 things due Wednesday listed, and Thursday they have 1 thing due, Friday is another thing due, and it shows the whole week. Now, a lot of students, and you can go backwards as well. It just started popping up with the backwards. So it's up to a student what way they want to have things viewed. And as I scroll up here, you can see the student has submitted and completed these assignments. And it will also like register late or submitted so they can see what they've done. So again, up to a student which view they prefer. Okay, the other thing super well, there's an inbox here, so you can see this student has 24 messages to check. Those messages are probably from their teachers. The teachers have been sending out emails by class, and you can check it in the inbox right here. Now, the other way to see due dates is if you click on the calendar feature on the side, you can see a calendar of the student's assignments. Now, okay, first, some of them are crossed out. Things are only crossed out as the due date passes. So as I scroll down here to this week, again, I am the blue here. I teach the geometry class, so my assignments here are not crossed out because they are not past their due date. Okay, now over here under calendars, you can see the student has a bunch of calendars listed. However, you can only see the calendars here if you also have it selected here. So I'm going to remove my class for a second, which is in the blue, and you will see it removed from the calendar. So if the student doesn't have that course clicked or selected, it will not appear on the screen. So I can also see the biology teacher has been using this platform. I can click biology and you won't see it. The main thing is for any course the student is in, they need to make sure they've selected it on the side. And now those courses are showing. Now, there will be some courses here, like this one here, NSL is listed in green. The teacher must not be using this platform because it's not here. So this calendar shows you everything due from all the courses together in one calendar feature. The colors can be selected by the student. So if the student really doesn't like purple per se, okay, I clicked it. You can click on the 3 little dots and you can change it to some other color. Or that allows for no color will be ever repeated because the color choices are made by the student. So you can pick out like 4 classes and 4 totally different colors. And then that's it. And you can go back to the previous month and see all the different assignments. You can see I was always posting homework assignments in this platform, but now it does automatically list when things are due based on the due date that the teacher has posted. Okay, hopefully that helps people follow the calendar. Thank you for watching.
Oh, my apologies.
Okay, let's all righty. Pin back glued on.
We are not going to watch a video about that. So just going back to that, a couple of questions that showed up in the side. Can want to make sure everybody can hear me now. Mr. Levine, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. I apologize, everyone, for the technical difficulties there. I'm figuring this out as we go, just like a lot of us are. So I do want to thank Ms. Freed again for that, and I shared that with her, but that was really helpful to me. Again, even personally, as I look at my kids' assignments and really understanding how that works. That is one of the platforms. My understanding is that there are similar functions in Google Classroom, and I'm working on a video for that. And once I find someone who's using Google Classroom and that calendar function that I will ask about, I will try to get that posted so that we have at least those 2 main platforms visible for everyone. The easiest way to use this then is to have your child show you his or her assignments. So that function is there for those teachers who are using it, and it's there. So that's one piece. And again, the Google Classroom side of it, I will work to make sure that we know the answer to that one and see if we can get a very similar video link up there for that. In terms of marking period 4, this continues to be a question. I talked about it last week. Just as a reminder to begin with, 4th marking period grades will be graded as pass and incomplete. We still do not know what that will look like and how that will impact transcripts. What we do know is that MCPS is getting a lot of feedback, talking to different stakeholder groups about how this will look and how it will impact students, and that they will make the final decision at their May 12th meeting. So that's when we will know the final answer on that. In terms of what students should be seeing at BCC, our ILT spent a lot of time talking about this last week, our instructional leadership team, I apologize. We all determined that for right now, what you should be seeing in the grade book, since we don't know really what pass means, but what you should be seeing in the grade book would be the same type of feedback that your child has been getting all along. Teachers are going to continue to follow their normal grading practices. And that's so that we know where you're standing, so that we're also focusing really on the learning that's occurring, not just worrying about a specific grade that would go in there and what constitutes a pass. It's important to share with your child that this is what's happening. I've heard comments from students and comments from teachers even, and some parents, my kid thinks that as long as they do a 50%, that's a pass. So I just want to be very clear that that is not the case. There's nothing that has been communicated that will be the case in the situation. So our teachers are continuing to provide the normal letter grades, the normal feedback that they have been providing. And in the end, we'll know what that pass looks like. But right now we don't. So we're encouraging students to continue to and not just put in a small effort in hopes that it is good enough for them in the end. So now I'm going to just move on to a few questions that were asked. So one was, could I share information from the past Zoom sessions? Yes, I'm working on that still. We had about 175 total questions that were asked in the sessions last week. So really looking at how to pull that together in an FAQ, and I will post that. And in terms of future sessions, we're recording this one, as I mentioned, and we're going to continue to record, and then I will post them via YouTube for parents to be able to access as we go through. Unfortunately, it does make for a rather long watch, as I know we're probably almost a half an hour into this one now. So, but those will be available, and then the FAQ from last week is still coming. The next question, there actually were two questions about graduation. So one was, what was my perspective on graduation? I'll talk about that in a second. And then when is a decision going to be made about postponing or changing the ceremony? For parents of seniors and for the seniors themselves, a survey actually went out from CPS this weekend, asking really for their perspective on it and kind of providing 3 possible options that MCPS is exploring for graduation. And I believe in that email, it said that a decision would be announced system-wide about what graduation will look like and what we're going to be doing during the first week of May. I can tell you that my personal perspective and my biggest goal is to make sure that we celebrate the seniors who are graduating. I can't envision right now a way that it's going to look like it has in years past. But I do want to make sure that people have the opportunity to celebrate this accomplishment. So my kind of leaning and my request and my preference that I've made is really just to make sure we're holding a ceremony that recognizes everyone. And my preference is honestly to hold it as close as we can to the original date of our graduation, to really allow students to feel like that little bit of normal is back in their lives when everything else is quite honestly just abnormal right now. It's not how we've been functioning. So that's my perspective on that. And Another parent asked a question, and I tried to pull out the gist of this, was really how we as a school, how we as a whole community can do something to visibly honor our graduates. And the question was about, could we put some signs up at BCC? Could we put different signs up around? The PTSA has been really helping. Some of you may have seen the yard signs that are out for seniors, recognizing them. We've been working to try to make sure that any senior who didn't order one, that we're helping them understand how to do that. But we're open to any and all ideas. I have a weekly Zoom meeting on Friday mornings with the PTSA about that. So if you have specific ideas about it, we're really kind of open to anything. So if anyone wants to reach out to me with something that they've seen someone else do, clips of things, social media posts, anything you have that you want to share like that, we're really trying to take it and move so that we can give our students the recognition that they deserve. So the final question that we keep getting is, about the live Zoom questions, and they, again, going back to what I said last week, the live Zoom sessions are not required for teachers, and that's because we're trying to balance the needs of everyone, including our students and our teachers who are doing different things now. That is something that we're continuing to have conversations about. I can tell you that when I'm on calls with my supervisors, that we're talking about how we can work to do that. We did have a staff meeting. I had a staff meeting on Monday, and I shared again with our teachers the importance of the connection that they made and how the impact they had in our students' lives when they were in front of them in a class, even if we move beyond just the curricular idea, that's important, and that we really want to see them attempt to reestablish that. So we're continuing to work on that. Hopefully we're seeing an increase in it. The live Zoom questions, again, are never going to mirror what would have happened in a regular 7-period day where we've got the kids for 6.5 hours with us at school. That's just something that we can't do, but we're trying to get more interaction and more live interaction with our teachers. So, and that was the last question that I had posted there. I've kind of looked at the chat as we've been going. I think we've hit most of the questions that were there. I do want to remind everyone, at any point that you have a question, reach out to the teacher. You're going to be the strongest advocate for your child in this situation. You know what's going on a daily basis with them, but feel free to reach out to me or to reach out to your child's grade level administrator. All of those email addresses are available on the BCC website, and they are there, and we will get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. So I would like to thank you all for attending, and wish you the best and hope that you stay safe. We are going to post this soon to that. So there are 2 questions going in the chat. So the first is about why we can't move to live teaching. So that's a part of a bigger conversation on a system level. Again, I don't know a specific answer to that. I do know that in terms of limitations, when we start to think about everything that not only our teachers and that our students and our families are dealing with, that the decision was made for elementary school instruction to be in the morning and for secondary to be in the afternoon. With that provides a much more limited window in terms of that. And we are working to make sure that we have that balancing act. We also need to keep in mind that for a lot of our families, a lot of our students, they are, excuse me, they are also suddenly, our students are required to provide childcare, or they're required to work, or they're doing other things that are pulling on them, and that we need to make sure that they're there. The same applies actually to our teaching staff and to our support staff. So we need to, it's balancing a lot of different things there. So there is a question also there about how do you reach out to the school board regarding grading. There are 2 options that you could go for that. The first is that you could, so there is the comment that I was just getting ready to say. definitely you could reach out to the PTA, or you could reach out to the PTA cluster coordinator. If you send me an email and ask me to forward it along, I will forward it along to my supervisor. We'll do that. The other option is there's an Ask MCPS email address that's sent out, and it's actually on the MCPS, it's actually available on the MCPS website, the coronavirus website that is there. So, a question showed up about summer school also. At this point, again, we're planning at this point with the data that we know and the information we know that we will be back in school on May 18th. Other than that, that piece of information, assuming that happens, it's my understanding that summer school would go on as planned. And at this point, I don't know what data counselors have in terms of being allowed, encouraging students to sign up for classes. That's a question I will look through to that. There's a question that's popped up again about erasing Q3 grades for the transcript. I'll go back to what I said earlier. That final decision will be made by the Board of Education on May 12th, and anything beyond that is just simply speculation for that. Right now, we know that students received a letter grade for the 3rd marking period, and that the 4th marking period will be pass or incomplete. And what that will look like on the transcript is still to be determined. So I thank you all for coming. I will continue to update as we have conversations about what the live teaching looks like and how we can improve that, and as we continue to look at this. So I appreciate you all being here. Again, the next 2 meetings for this week will be primarily the same, but if there is information that I find that is contradictory to what I've shared today, I will be updating that. So thank you all very much. I am going to stop sharing my screen now and ask Mr. Levine to stop the recording, and then we will end the meeting. Thank you all. Mr. Levine.